Hello my dear friends, good morning to all of you. In this video lecture, I am going to start this new chapter, the chapter number 5. Okay, so in the last video lecture session, I hope you seen that video lecture. In that video lecture, we have completed chapter number 3, and in this particular video lecture, I am going to start with chapter number 5. And after this chapter number 5, our one unit, or we can say that one chapter remaining in the PE subject. So if you have any query after this, after you seen this video lecture, if you have any query, you can contact me from the any mode of communication. So let's start. The name of this chapter number 5, or the title of the chapter number 5, is individual factor, or the moral philosophies and the values. Okay, so let's start. So chapter's objective, what are the objective of this chapter? In this particular chapter, you understand how moral and philosophies and values is influence in the individual and the group ethical decision making in the business. Whenever you are doing any business, at that time how philosophy of your moral it's affected in your value and in your, we can say, ethical decision. In this particular video lecture you learn about that. Second one is to compare the contracts and the teleological, deontological virtue and the justice and the perspective of moral philosophy. Third one, to discuss the impact of the philosophies and the business ethics. Fourth one, to recognize the stages of the cognitive moral development and its shortcoming. Then, to introduce white collar crime as it relates to the moral philosophies and value in the corporate culture. So there are the objective of this chapter. Okay. Then chapter outline, what are the topics are covered in this particular chapter. There are the mainly 6 topics are considered in the chapter number 5. First topic is moral and philosophy and value. Second one is a moral philosophies. Third one is applying moral and philosophies to ethical decision making. Fourth one is a cognitive moral development. Fifth one is a white collar crime. Sixth and the last topic is the role of individual factor in the business ethics. So in this particular video lecture, I explain first 5 topics in this video lecture, and after in the second video lecture I explain regarding the white collar crime and what are the individual factors affected whenever you have to decide any business ethics. Okay, so let's start from the first topic, moral philosophy and values. Moral philosophy, principle or the rules that people use to decide what is right and wrong. So the integrity, transparency, justice and the open communication is resulting to the goodwill and the economical gain in the long run. If you have to work with the integrity, with the transparency, with the justice and the open communication, if you maintain ethics in your business, then it's resulting to create goodwill. Goodwill means what? Is a one type of intangible asset of your business. It's, you can say that goodwill is a one type of intangible asset. You cannot touch that, but there are the value of your business, it's considered as the goodwill. Take the example, if you have to start your business and you have to work ethically in your business, then your business have to get some we can say feminism in the market, some we can say that some new roles, some new innovative, some new invention and innovation in the market. So it's considered as the goodwill of your business, and goodwill is the one type of asset of the business. It's the intangible asset. So economical gains in the long run, if you have to doing good business with the ethics, then it's create a feminism, it's create a goodwill for your business and it's create the high profit term for your business. If there are the high profit, if your business have to gain the high profit, it's create high goodwill, and if there are the high goodwill, then your market value of your business is also higher. Okay, so this all are dependent on your ethical decision making. If you have to doing good ethical decision making in your business, then you have to create goodwill in the long run. What is ethical and what is unethical? There are the challenging question in the rapid changes in the society. Though its norms can be a navigate organization in the right direction. If you have to build a rule with the ethics, then you can easily take the decision with the right ethics. So you cannot confuse, you cannot face any difficulty whenever you have to get the right decision. Many situation is to be a disconcern the ethical from the unethical. So and no indisputable ethical action is exists. If you have to require the moral and philosophy in your business, then you can easily take the decision. You cannot face the any ethical and unethical dilemmas. Then moral and philosophy defined as moral philosophy is involving systemizing, defining and the recommending concept of the right and wrong. What is right and what is wrong is considered in the moral and philosophy values. Due to the strong competition in companies and there are the employees resort to be an unethical practice to fulfill their goal, which is turned to lead the bad reputation. If you have to create your selfishness in your business and if you have to sacrifice the employees, we can say role employees welfareness, then created bad reputation of your business. So in the simple language, what is right and what is wrong in your mind, in your business is considered as the moral philosophy. You have to decide moral philosophy according to your rules, norms and decisions. Second one is a moral philosophy in the major areas in ethics. First one is a meta-ethics, is concerned with the theoretical meaning. It refers to the moral propositions and in the how they truth values can be determined. So in the meta ethics you can easily understand that theories, and according to theories what is the right truth you have to determine that. Second one is a normative ethics, is concerning on the practical. This meta ethics is concerning on the theoretical basis and normative ethics is basis on the practical based. So meaning of the determining a moral is course of action. Third one is the applied ethics, is concerning what is the objective. So specific situation or the particular domain is to be a one type of action. So here there are the main three ethics: meta ethics, normative ethics and applied ethics. Meta ethics is totally based on the theoretical meaning. They have to given one theories and then after you have to identify your values and rules and then after you have to take the decision. Then in the normative ethics they have to basis on the practical, whatever decision they have to decide, they have to doing that after the analysis they have to do that this is practically applicable or not. And in the applied ethics they have to give the obligation that whatever the decision they have to taken in the real world, if it's possible or not. So normative ethics is a theory addressing and the question of how we ought to act and how we should be. So what is the basis of which we should make a decision about what is we ought to do. So the central concern of the normative ethics is the education, what is right or what is good is the virtuous. Then in the meta-ethics is a theory concerning and the nature of the moral judgment. So the key question is focus on whether the moral statements can true or false, or whether is a moral judgment are instead of a basically subjective expression of feeling, attitude and agreement. So it's the implication for the moral knowledge in the moral psychology, we can say that it's basis on the motivation. Then applied ethics, the examination of the attempt and understand the practical moral problems such as abortion, then enthusiasm, animal welfare, suicide, poverty, environment and other relation too. So in simple language you can see in the normative ethics they have to given the rules and regulation, and after that they have to analyze that this ethics is practically applicable or not. In the meta ethics they have to given a theories, philosophies that you have to understand these are the ethical theories and you should do whenever you have to working in the particular areas. And applied ethics is attempt to understand the practical moral. Whatever you have to understand in the meta ethics and normative ethics, you have to apply in this applied ethics, and then after you have to decide that in this particular field, like in the animal welfare, poverty, unemployment, this ethics is applicable or not. Okay, I hope you understand. Then meta-ethics. Meta-ethics is asked how we understand, know about, and what we mean. So when we talk about what is right and what is wrong, a meta-ethical question is abstract and relates to the wide range of more specific practical question. For example, is it ever possible to have a secure knowledge of what is right and wrong would be a meta-ethical question. So meta-ethics is itself a moral philosophy, but it an issue that concern related to the moral ethics, which is to be used to resolve ethical dilemmas. So it's a one type of scientific knowledge that you have to get from the we can say philosophy's theories, then ethical theories, right? Then monism and the relativism. Some peoples may ask such that best possible outcome from all, which is the utilitarianism approach. I hope you learn this approach is utilitarianism, deontological approach in the last unit number 3. So utilitarianism approach is they have to, because they believe that this act is makes them a good person. As the ethical issue can be analyzed from the different point of view, philosophers as a present a different approach and theories. So some philosophers is argue that possible is to take a objective ethical decision by identify one valid ethical theory. So this called the ethical monism, means you have to identify that this is there are the various types of theories in the ethical decision making process. So you have to identify and standard one theory that easily take a decision and easily we can say person called that this is the one type of ethical and valid ethical theory. It's called as the ethical monism. Then after normative ethic is considered deontology, then the consequentialism and the virtue ethics. So let's see. First one is the deontology, an approach to ethics that determines goodness or the rightness from the examining acts or the rules and the duties that a person doing the act and the strove to fulfill it. So act may be considered as a right even if an act is produce a bad consequences. People have the duty to act in the way and does those things that are the inherently good as an act. So people's intention are not important. So deontological this approach you have to learn in the last video lecture session in the unit number 3. Deon, it's a deontological word, is derived from the Greek word deon. Deon means what? Deon means the duty, right? So in this particular deontological approach, ethics is only based that if we have to doing we can say one act and there are the always focus that are the number of people where get the benefit from the one act. Okay. Then consequentialism refers to the moral theory that hold the consequences of a particular action from the basis of the valid moral judgment about the action. So this consequentialism is always depend on the consequences. Consequences means situation, because different situation have the different type of values, different types of we can say phenomena, different types of we can say environment. So at that time in the particular consequences what type of decision you have to take. So these are considered in the consequentialism. A morally right action is the one that produce a good outcome and the consequences. So this theory is weight is given on the consequences in the evaluating right and wrong of the action, because different situation have the different type of ideology and different type of circumstances, right? So in any situation whatever decision you have to take it must be right, and if in the other we can say situation it may be wrong. So there are the various type of situation and various types of consequences that depends on your, we can say, knowledge and your ethics. So, utilitarianism holds that the morally correct action is the one that produces the best outcome from the all people and affected by the actions. So, always they have to depend on the consequence. Whatever decision you have to take, that always based on the consequences situation, because different situation have the different type of circumstances, different type of environment. Then virtue ethics is the describe the character of moral. It's the agent as a driving force. Then it's used to describe a ethics of Socrates, Aristotle and the Greek philosophers. So knowledge is bring from the human life was placed is the highest, white and all other were the secondary. So self-knowledge was considered the necessary for the success and inherently they have to initiately good. So there are the various type of philosopher have to decide this virtue ethics is a one type of your character role. Your character is play the vital role in your business, because sometimes situations are very difficult and complicating, but your character is matters. If your character is good, then you can easily take the decision. You cannot we can say go with the selfishness or your self oriented, but you have to always go with the higher, we can say, welfare for the all of others. So it matters on your character. Then after, applied ethics. So applied ethics is a discipline of a philosophy that attempt to apply ethics theory to the real life situation. In the meta ethics, in the virtue ethics, in you have to understand about the philosophy, about that philosophy theory. But how this theory is applicable in the real life, so in real situation, is considered in the applied ethics. Discipline have many specialized fields such as the engineering ethics, bioethics, geoethics and the business ethics. There are the various types of ethics, and business ethics you learn in the unit number 2, right? So is a use as some aspects of the determining a public policies as well as the individual facing a difficulty in the decision making. So it's created as a applied ethics, how you get the decision. Applied moral philosophy to ethical decision making. So individual use a different moral philosophies depending on the whether they are making a personal or making a work related decision. Sometimes you should also face, whenever you have to get a job, at that time you also face that work related decision or personal decision. So it's one type of ethical dilemma you always face. So the difference in the approach is applying moral philosophies is arise because of goal and the pressure that are the present in the work environment. They are not same in the personal life, because you should always maintain your personal and professional life in the balancing situation. So whenever you have to approach any professional life, at that time you have to feel the pressure of your professional job also, and also you have to get the pressure from your family. So you have to maintain both we can say situation, and then you have to get the take right decision. Then after, cognitive moral development. Then Lawrence Kohlberg stages of the moral development. In the last video lecture you learned there are the 6 stages is considered in the Kohlberg's model. So constitution and adaptation of the psychological theory is originally conceived by the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. So the theory is hold the moral reason is a necessary condition for the ethical, and ethical behavior has a 6 development stages. Each stage is adequate and the responding the moral ethics than the procedures. So Kohlberg's 6 stages can be grouped into the 3 level of a 2 each. Means there are the 6 steps are considered in the Kohlberg's model. I hope you know about that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So they have to divide 2 each groups. They have to divide 2 groups, and according to basis they have to divide a 3 stage. First stage you have to consider first 2 steps, second stage is considered third and fourth stage, and third stage is considered fifth and sixth step. Okay, so you should learn in the next slides. So there are the 3 levels: pre-conventional levels, conventional levels and the post conventional levels. So there are 3 levels are considered according to basis of Kohlberg's 6 models. So let's see. So in this particular chart you can easily understand this. So there are the 6 stages are considered here: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, 4, 5 and 6. So level 1 is considered as a pre-conventional morality level. So in the stage 1 and stage 2 are considered right here. So stage 1 is considered the obedience and the punishments behavior driven by the avoiding punishment. Stage 1 is considered. Stage 2 is the individual interest, is behavior driven from the self-interest and reward. In the first stage, you easily understand that if any person cannot obey any rules and situation, then they have to face the punishment. They have to face punishment situation. Then in the stage 2, there are the individual interest is considered as the self-interest, self-reward for their selfishness. So it's considered as a pre-conventional morality. They have to consider the obedience and the individual interest. In the second level is the conventional level. So in this conventional level, there are the 2 stages, stage 3 and stage 4. Stage 3 is considered as the interpersonal and stage 4 is the authority. You should understand about it and you should learn about that. We can say is a very important question, so you should learn about that, right? So first stage is what? Obedience and punishment. Second was the individual interest is considered in the level 1, pre-conventional level. Second conventional level, and in this conventional level is considered stage 3 and stage 4. Stage 3 is the interpersonal level and the authority. Interpersonal is a behavior is driven by the social approval. Interpersonal means what? Interpersonal means the relation with your group, relation with your society, with your family. It's considered as the interpersonal. So your behavior is driven from the social approval. Then authority. Authority is a behavior is driven by the obeying authority and the conforming to the social orders. So whatever authority you have to delegate, you have to consider that, right? Then level 3 is the last level, is the post-conventional morality. It's considered in the stage 5 and stage 6. Stage 5 is the social contract and stage 6 is the universal ethics. Social contract is a behavior is driven by the balance of social orders and the individual right. And in the universal ethics, this behavior derived from your internal moral principles. So there are the 3 levels and each level is considered 2 stages. First one is a pre-conventional level. So punishment and obedience orientation is a physical consequence of the action is determined in the goodness and badness. Then moral realism, it's a behavior that comply with the adult command, and there are the good, thus they are not good or bad. So these consequences of act and moral, then you have to intention behind that act. Said children is evaluate their behavior in confirming the existing and the established rule. Stage 2 is the instrumental or the relativism orientation. What is right and what is good is depend on your own need, your own occasionally lates is considered in this stage 2. Level 1 is a pre-conventional level, obedience and punishment. This person is acts in an appropriate manner and effort to avoid being punished. Always try to obey whatever the decision they have to given to them, whatever the order given, they always try to obey that and always try to avoid punishment. Then stage 2 is the individual exchange. So the person is realized that more and more we can say learn and from the right view. Then the post-conventional level is a moral judgment that are driven from the principles. So treating others as you would want to be treated. So if you treat other person whatever you want to be treated, then and then you have to get the right, we can say, manner of the value. So only 25% of population are age of 16 and over ever is reached this level. Then post-conventional level is a stage 6 is considered as a universal ethic principle, and individual moral and judgment is motivated by his or her own consequences. Example, I do pay my taxes because it is a law, but because it's the right thing to do. So it's depend on your own ethics and then you have to take this right decision. So there are the simply these stages are considered in that, so you can easily understand about that. There the pre-conventional level is obedience and punishment, based on avoiding punishment and focus on the consequences and action rather than the intention and interesting defense and the authority. Second stage is the individualism and exchange. So the right behavior, there are those in the best interest or in self for the mentality. Then second one is a conventional level, is an interpersonal relationship. Good boy or good girl attitude is C is the individual. Society's matters here. Society's role is higher. Fourth one is the authority and the social order. So law and order for the highest ideal and social obedience must be maintained for the functional society. Last one is a post-conventional level, is the social contracts and the universal principles. So being to learn others have a different values and realize that is the contingent culture. Develop the internal principles and individual being obey and above rules. Okay, so there are the 6 stages and there are the 3 levels. I hope you easily understand and you cannot confuse about that. If they in your examination they have to ask how many stages, so you have to consider 6 stages, and how many levels, so you have to consider 3 levels. Okay, I hope you understand about this. In the next video lecture we have to continue with the white collar crime and the individual factor regarding this unit number 5. Okay, thank you very much.